I'm just going down the aisle of the store that I work at, and I see a man pushing his little boy in one of these carts like you see sitting here behind me. And it was really, really cool. It's probably really aggravating for parents, but man, the kids love him. He's holding on to the steering wheel of the thing, and as the father was driving it, the little kid had this thing, and boy, he was just working that thing, and he was making it go, and he was driving himself, you know. Felt really cool. Coming up today on Body Slam, we're going to talk a little bit about who's in control. Earlier today, I was watching a podcast that Chris Dorman did where he's talking about, he had the nerve to say, "God, I hate you." Wow, man, I watched that, and it just kind of slapped me in the head, and man, you got to really have a set to say that, you know? And I was listening to what he had to say and understanding kind of where he's coming from, because I remember when I went through what I went through in the church, saying I'll never go back. You know, I took those few people that were just really giving me a terrible time in church work, and I blamed all of the issues that I had on the whole church rather than looking at those 2 or 3 people that were just really being complete jerks. I blamed all of them, blamed the whole church, lumped it all into one group. You kind of know how that is, right? You know, this character that I do sometimes, Brother Buford, he's kind of the embodiment of everything I hate about religious people in churches. And that's one of the things that I think that makes that so funny, is because everybody, we all know someone that's like that. But anyway, today I got to thinking about that. I said I'd never go back to church. Now, not only do I go to church, I also run, just a small little group, the Sanctuary Mississippi. And now I'm involved in Sanctuary International, which is an organization that tells people about Jesus, and kind of focuses on the metalhead crew. And so it's interesting to me that even though I thought I was in control and I was driving my life, behind me was my father, who was in control and really kind of taking me where he wanted me to go. A lot like this shopping cart. In Mississippi we call those buggies. It's a shopping buggy. It was a lot like that. I was watching this little boy, and his eyes, he was so serious. His eyes were so focused on the aisle in front of him, and he was gripping onto that steering wheel till his knuckles were white. And even though his father was behind him pushing the cart, this little boy was just going at it and just really turning the wheel. And he in his mind, he was driving a race car. And that's kind of how I think it was going with me in church. I can look at God and man, especially after what I saw with Chris in his last podcast. If you haven't seen that, you need to go watch it. And I can look at the church and say, I hate the church. I'm not going to be a part of the church. I'm not ever going to go back. And then 7 years later, I'm involved in ways that I never thought even possible. That's how God works. God is gently behind me, pushing me and nudging me and taking me and directing me and guiding me where he wants me to go. And the whole time I'm sitting there gripping onto the steering wheel of my life, till I'm white knuckled thinking I'm in control and I'm so serious, and I think all the while God's doing like I was doing with that little boy, and he's just kind of laughing and shaking his head, saying, I'm going to take you, I'm going to do with you what I feel is what you need to be doing. So for what it's worth, there you have it. I think I'm going to go to work now. God bless. Oh yeah, I might want my phone. Oh, by the way, there's some cool ravens flying over, but